I finally built the Ring 4 lobby. Asterisk. I mostly built it. There are a few things I still need to add, but yeah. To begin this video, I'll give you a quick tour of it. We have the SMTOH ring select, that's what that's supposed to say. This one's supposed to say Ring 4, and you are here. It'll have a decal like the first 3 once I make it. Same for the other 4. And then if you go across this bridge, it says Beginner Towers, and there's this little arrow pointing this way. So as you can see, I built this lobby. It's like on these rocks of terrain, and I also partially desaturated the colors a little bit, which I think looks cool. We got another one of these facility things that were in the Ring 3 lobby. This tower has a temporary name and temporary difficulty. I mean, when I build whatever that tower is going to be, I'll aim for it to be around that difficulty, though. Up here, you got the intermediate and advanced towers. They're both in this direction. And over here are the intermediate towers, and up here are the advanced towers. The intermediate ones are just on another island like this. And if you go on this elevator and click that button, then it'll do that. You click this and it'll move down again, where you can get to the advanced towers. And so this facility has 2 portals instead of just 1, like it was the case over here. The tower we're building today is going to be the easiest tower in Ring 4, Tower of Fastidious Forensics. If you don't know what fastidious means, it means very attentive to and concerned about accuracy and detail. In other words, alliteration. The idea for this tower comes from 2 comments. Tower idea: you solve a crime to see who did the crime, and the final floor is a courtroom. Make a tower that is a construction site, and you ascend horizontally. So as you can probably guess, it's the one about you solve who did the crime for where we get the name of the tower. But we're also going to be incorporating it's like a construction site, but not the you ascend horizontally part. It'll still be a normal, like, vertical tower. We're just using the construction side part of this. In addition, my sister helped plan out this tower, however she won't be helping build it. Oh, and perhaps you're wondering why the emblem is this. That's the temporary decal, because it is going to be a decal because the emblem is going to, like if I built it with parts, it would use a lot of parts, so it's going to be a decal instead. But for now, it's that. So I already have some of the tower built. If we go over here, we have this. Yay. So I just set the portal location and changed the color of the portal frame, so it's the color of the first floor. Since this tower is under construction, the Winpad can be found in a box on the 2nd floor. That's not actually true. It's not actually going to be the Winpad. It's not only going to be 2 floors. So you can see I built the tower on one of these islands. There's another one over here. We'll be putting something that's part of this tower on there later, but it's one of the Ring 4 lobby style islands. I could keep the colors desaturated, but I don't think I want to do that. Wouldn't, like, the construction tape and, like, these things just look so much better with normal color saturation. This sign over here, it just says under construction, and we got another area over here. And there's also this area over here with this, like, red construction tape. That's because you can't walk over it, but you will be able to later. So now we can begin the building. What I think I want to do first is something detail related. It's going to be kind of like this, how it's like, you know, instead of just having, like, the frame of the frame, the whole tower, I do want there to be kind of things like this. Wedges are like the simplest, but I do want to put in some more detailed looking things as well. In Tower of Volcanic Adventures, right here, I put this thing, which looks kind of cool, and it's based on the appearance of a truss. I did record, like, figuring out the best way to build this, but I decided to cut that out of the final video, because, like, no one wants to watch me try and build a truss with regular parts for 5 minutes. And so these things, they are 0.25 studs wide, and these ones, I believe, yeah, they're half of that, so they're 0.125, but I can't scale things to be that specific, so we'll just do 0.13. But it's centered anyway, so it's not actually going to matter, unless someone looks that closely and notices that it's 0.005 studs off, which of course nobody's going to. So now I've recreated that. Now I can duplicate it, and then rotate this. I'm going to want this to take up maybe half this space here, but I'm going to scale this up so it doesn't use as many parts. Speaking of parts, the maximum possible part limit was increased to like 4,500, I think. So since I don't need to now, I'm not going to be increasing it, but if I need to, I'll keep that in mind, which it's kind of looking like I might. Okay, so this is good. I deleted the truss itself. Now I can do some things to save parts a little bit. Let me go ahead and set my snap to grid back to 0.25. And you can see instead of having like each of these squares be its own part, I can do a lot of like combining of things. So like I can do that. And then I can actually delete this, 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 and this, and this. And then just leave one of them and do that. I'm going to turn drag enabled on. And then rotate this to put it in the correct position. Alright, it's gonna look like I need to set snap to grid to 0.125. I could make it like be basically centered, but it's not a bug, it's a feature. So I pretty much just have to decide whether it goes closer to this side or closer to this side. I think I'm gonna go with this one, that way it's more noticeable from the outside, the difference here, which will add depth, which will be nice. All right, and since this is normal parts, I can scale this up a little bit. And now I'm just going to duplicate this and move it across like this. However, in my opinion, I think it looks better if I flip this around. That way it makes like these smaller kind of rotated squares. And then I'm actually going to be able to save parts more by like combining these. But let me go ahead and get everything in the correct place first, which this looks good. Now I'm going to select all of those. Deselect that because I didn't mean to select that. And then that is centered. And you know what? I'm going to do this and then delete these two parts on top because it's just like not that necessary. And I can save a decent amount of parts there. Actually, in reality, it would only be like a few, like one, because I would just combine it all into one anyway. Just like how I'm about to do a bunch of combining parts here in order to save parts. Okay, I was trying to scale it by 0.25, but I actually want to scale it by 0.38. Since I scaled it and it all scaled like proportionally, so it was like multiplied weirdly, it's no longer 0.25. Now what I'm going to do is combine these horizontal ones. It will cause slightly noticeable Z-fighting. It won't really be that noticeable though, because of the texture being plastic, which it's hard to notice Z-fighting there. But I think it's worth it in order to save all these parts. So, and lastly, combine the diagonal ones. Alright, so I got all the ones going this direction first. Now I need to do the same, but for the ones going the other direction. Now I want to make sure I keep like having these squares like that instead of whatever's happening here. This is supposed to only be scaled like that, and this shouldn't exist. Oh wait, no, this shouldn't exist, except it's part of the other thing, so I do that. There we go. And now truss. Yay. It's like partially built. Can I actually climb it like a truss? Oh, I can. Let's go. Unfortunately, being able to climb up this is not what I want. So what I'm going to do is take an invisible part like this and do that. So now you shouldn't be able to climb on that. Now this truss thing I'm going to be using again in the Reinforced Citadel of Leon Laboratories, because it's like what this kind of creates is like, you know, when you're standing on one of those like metal looking things like this, except it's like that way is down. Pretend I'm standing like this, and then it's like you can look straight down and it's kind of terrifying. Yeah, it's kind of that I'm going for, how it's going to be in Citadel of Leon Laboratories. For here, it's just meant to be a partially built wall, and same goes for there. Okay, let's get to the actual gameplay here. The first thing you're going to do is find a button. It's going to go right there. It's going to be really easy. Alright, so the button is going to be connected to like a ladder thing that's going to appear and let you jump on top of this. I can't have it be 10 studs though, because you can just high jump that. By ladder, do I mean a truss or a ladder? I could make it one of those like step ladder things, but it's like one of those tall step ladders that's like 10 steps instead of 2. I think I'm just going to go with a truss though. After seeing how many parts that used, and I intend to put many more of those, I just need to save parts wherever possible. Alright, this is actually going to be 13 studs, not 14. That way this is centered. And now that I think about it, maybe I should have it so you can climb up this. Especially when you consider it's that easy of a fix, just deleting that. Right here, I wanted to have this, except I'm going to put an actual truss, because, well, one, I don't feel like building that again. But also, this uses one part versus even if I build this and have sort of what I wanted more, which is that. So on this platform, on floor 2, there's going to be a bunch of boxes. I think I'm going to make it be wood planks. Like, boxes are often made of cardboard, but there isn't a cardboard texture. And in this setting, like a construction site, it would kind of make sense for things to be in like wood crates. What if I also add an outline so it looks even more like a wood crate, assuming it's the right color? Now I just got to put a few of these around here. I can even stack some on top of each other. These are supposed to be boxes of like materials and stuff, and this one is going to be the one that contains the Winpad, you know, because that's what's on floor 2. Actually, this should probably be a little bit smaller. Let's go 6 by 5 by 6. That works. Actually, it should probably be a little bit smaller. Let's go with this dimension. Now, you're going to open this box in order to find the Winpad. So what I'm going to do is duplicate this, and then do that. And I'm going to make this transparent for now, as I take parts and do that. Now, I think the best way to have it to open it is just a square that'll just disappear when you click it. Alright, so now this part, with the outline, I just made it invisible. Its only purpose in existing is that it has the outline there. If I could put multiple effects on a single part, then I would put a sign on the invisible thing as well, but sadly I can't, so I'll just use a different part. Let's see, it would make sense if somebody like wrote with a permanent marker what's in a box. Winpad. And a good benefit of putting this on a separate part, since I have to anyway, I may as well take advantage of the fact that I can move this around since it's invisible in the part itself you won't be able to see. And I can therefore position this how I want. Although actually it's the same dimensions as this anyway, so I could just reposition the text item. I remember the part where I said this thing's only purpose was for the outline. Well, I've changed my mind. Unless it decides to do something annoying. If I take a button and give it a click distance, that's fine. I was trying to do 35, but can I still click it if it's inside the part? Yeah, but it's like doesn't really work that well. Alright, never mind. Looks like the invisible part's only purpose is, once again, the outline. So now I'm going to take another part. It's going to be an invisible part again. This thing is going to be make objects invisible, click radius 35, time infinite, and it's going to deactivate that. In theory, that should make it so I can click the button, it opens the box, and you can even walk inside it. Alright, now what I'm going to build is a microwave. You're probably wondering why I'm building a microwave. Well, in this tower, you're trying to find out who committed a crime, and that crime is stealing the Winpad and replacing it with a microwave. Why a microwave? Because the crime was originally going to be who stole a microwave, but stealing the Winpad makes way more sense. So to still involve a microwave, the person who stole the Winpad replaced it with a microwave. And now I'll share with you some microwave fun facts. Microwave ovens get their names because they use microwaves, a form of electromagnetic radiation, with a relatively high wavelength. Okay, I'm already bored of writing my own microwave description. I'm just going to read the Wikipedia article. A microwave oven, or simply a microwave, is an electric oven that heats and cooks food by exposing it to electromagnetic radiation in the microwave frequency range. This induces polar molecules in the food to rotate and produce thermal energy in a process known as dielectric heating. Microwave ovens heat foods quickly and efficiently because excitation is fairly uniform in the outer 25 to 38 millimeters, or 1 to 1.5 inches, of a homogeneous, high water content food item. There's also going to be a note on top of here. It's going to say, haha, no Winpad for you, someone. Now I need to decide a handwriting looking text font for this. We're going to go with Indie Flower, wherever that is. How does the alphabet go? Why was I thinking I came before F? There we go. Now, the text font I chose is going to be important later, but for now it doesn't really matter that much. What instead matters is that I put the microwave in the box. I'm also going to add another sign right there that says click to open. Now, like I said, the text font that this is going to be important later, but yeah, kind of all the text fonts I choose are going to be important in some way. Like the one here, Gotham Bold, which is the same one as over here. That's like not any specific character or anything. That's just the tower telling you what to do in case you're confused. Hence the click to open. Anyway, you're gonna click that button. It's a make objects invisible button. Now, if it were a button that you just walk into to press, like most of the time it is, then it's okay to put two of them next to each other so that you press both if you wanted to make one be a make objects invisible and one be a make objects visible. That doesn't really work with click buttons because then you have to click it twice. And then even then, that doesn't really work, because then it's going to, like, click one sometimes not the other. That was a very long explanation of, basically, this is going to also activate something, or rather deactivate something, along the path to floor 3. It's got to be deactivating, though. Otherwise, like I said, I'd have to use two buttons, and that's not really going to work. We'll make this partially built wall be like this, so you can just jump onto there. Although this is making me annoyed that it's, like, halfway on the truss. If I lined it up there, it would be better, I guess. I don't know. Let's just do that. There we go. With it going one stud off of here, good. From here, I'm going to put another truss, and then another truss right here. Okay, actually, I'm going to split this truss into different sections like this, like two at a time, and then make it, like, alternate between yellow and black, like this, you know, like the construction tape things. Which means this is going to be, like, slightly up, and if I just move it down, then it would actually be okay, because it doesn't have to be aligned with the floor. In fact, I think that looks a little bit better, now that it doesn't line up. Okay, but now what do I do to make it so that something has to deactivate in order for this to be possible? I'm going to take a wedge. I did put one here a moment ago. I'm going to put another one. Well, no, it's got to be 22. As long as it's below this, that's good. And then I got to do that again. Because I do want these to all be 45-degree angles. I think having that consistent throughout the whole thing would look nice. Now I can make this be 3 studs instead of 2. That way, I can now take apart and put it around the truss. This is what's going to get deactivated. And I can have it just go right here so it lines up like that. I'll make it be yellow and force field. Ooh, there's a solution. Don't worry. This, I know that looks a little bit weird. I will put more partially built walls. So yeah, don't worry about that. Now I'm going to take this make objects invisible button, deactivate that. And so that way when you click it, it'll also open the box, but it'll deactivate this. And you can climb up here to floor 3. On floor 3, we're going to put a character model right here, and we're going to give it the user ID of 2. Wait, they changed what John Doe looks like. That's who this is. He says, I last saw the Winpad yesterday morning as I was using a forklift to move some boxes of materials, including the Winpad, to just outside floor 1. Builderman was the one who was tasked with moving those boxes to floor 2. I would suggest speaking to him. Then floor 3, you click this button, and it'll open this, and or not floor 3, floor 4. Now what's gonna happen here is you're actually gonna go back down here, and so later you'll come back and go back up to floor 5. So up here, we're not going to build any parkour just yet. Alright, this character model, we're going to give that user ID 156. I don't really know why I copy-pasted it, but I guess that's less than 3 keystrokes. So Builderman says, yes, I did move the boxes to floor 2 yesterday after I got back from lunch break, but I didn't look inside them, so I can't actually say whether the Winpad was in its box at that time. Although its box was unusually heavy. Maybe that's just me, though. After this, you're going to press a button and return to floor 1. So the first piece of evidence you will find about the crime involves looking at fingerprints. When you press a button on floor 4, this red construction tape becomes yellow and you can enter this new area. I had to change the texture to an image, though, because modify effects on a button can't remove textures for some reason. If I just made the original texture an image, it stretched the image and didn't look right. So the button deactivates the part with the red image. The part itself looks like the rock beneath it so that it's visible and blocks the yellow tape, but it blends in. It needs to block the yellow tape because if it didn't, you could see the yellow underneath the red, and if you looked at it from the right angle, it does this for some reason. In the new area, you can access a black light, which you need to see the fingerprints. I rebuilt a flashlight with parts and put a gear part and a make objects invisible button around the flashlight. The gear part gives you a flashlight with a purple light because black lights are actually purple, and the make objects invisible button 1 deactivates the flashlight built with parts so that it's like you're picking it up. 2 deactivates several 0.99 transparency glass parts on the box with the Winpad so that deactivating them causes the fingerprints and names to become visible. And 3 deactivates the part that prevents you from accessing floor 5. So right here, there's of course you, John Doe, and Builderman, but here there's Jane Doe and Roblox. Those are the next 2 people that you'll be talking to on whatever floor this is, floor 8765. They'll both be on this floor, so it won't be like it was here where there was one here and one here. Okay, so we have both of these here. Roblox says, since I'm the manager of this construction project, I checked the contents of all the boxes on floor 1 just before leaving for lunch break yesterday. Yes, the Winpad was in the box at that time. Jane Doe says, yesterday I stayed about 10 minutes extra after everyone was free to go to lunch break looking for the box with the wood in it. That's why I checked the box with the Winpad, but it was already missing at that point. We kind of need to do some more interesting parkour. So I put kill bricks as well. Not that they really affect anything. I could put a jump. I know, that's great parkour. What about instead of a jump, it's a trip part? So I mean, it'll just do that because it is like level unless you jump towards the edge or something. I would like slant it that way, but then you could fly off the whole tower, and I don't really want that. I would if this were a more difficult tower, but it's not. Most people are probably going to jump over that anyway, thinking it's like Can't Collide Falls or something. But yeah, we can also put a push box section in this space here. So that you sort of walk over here to read this, there will be a button that'll activate something that makes the push box section possible. Let's see, the push box section can start here, and it'll be like you push it up a ramp onto a platform that's, let's do 3 studs above here. After making this push box section, it's possible to do that. So what I'm going to do is make it so that this is higher up here, and so that makes it so this trip part will be slanted. Okay, that fixes that. You can still head hitter here, but like I'm not really concerned about that because that skips walking. I mean, then again, that's also what this skips, but this skip that remains is less walking. This button up here is going to activate that for 20 seconds, which is of course way more than you need. Also I want that to be Can't Collide True, time infinite, and like that. And I also am going to need a pushbox resetter button. Okay, so you would press that button. It doesn't actually activate anything yet, though. It can activate like a bridge thingy that goes to an outside section. It'll be longer than this one, but still easy. Okay, I've now built the outside section. Turns out this one was only that, but there was another longer outside section here. So I built all this off camera, and I'll read the signs because they're kind of important to understand what's going on. So I've spoken to everyone whose fingerprints are on the box. So who among us is not telling the truth? Builderman thinks the Winpad wasn't in the box after lunch break. Roblox is sure that it was before lunch break. I think it's safe to say that the Winpad was stolen during lunch break. John Doe says he moved the box in the morning. That leaves Jane Doe, who says she had been here during lunch break. At this point, I feel like Jane Doe is the culprit. However, I should definitely try to find more evidence. What about handwriting samples? I could see whose handwriting matches the note on the microwave. I'll go speak to Roblox to see if I can get a note written by everyone. This right here is why the text fonts I chose, as I was talking about earlier, are going to be important. Use this key to open the door to Roblox's office at the bottom of the tower where you can speak to him. So also off camera, I built this. This is supposed to be like Roblox's office. That's what this area is for. So you can actually still walk over here from the beginning, but as you can see, this says key required and there's a part blocking it. Anyway, for the key, we're going to be doing something similar to right here, but it was a button that deactivated this, so it was like you're picking it up. Here you're not actually going to get like a key tool. It's just going to deactivate it, so it's like you're picking it up, and it's going to deactivate the part that says key required at Roblox's office. So there's the key. Now I can take the button and place it on top of there, make the button invisible, make it be make objects invisible for infinite time. The objects it'll deactivate is going to be the parts of the key and this, and it should also have modify effects true. So as I said, modify effects, it doesn't remove textures, but it does remove text, so don't get those two confused. In theory, that should mean I can step on the button and it'll deactivate the key, so it did that correctly. And it made this invisible. I can walk through it, and you can't see where it says key required. That takes us in here. Roblox says here are a few notes you can use as handwriting samples, and here's the note that was on the microwave. We need a total of 11 notes, so I'll build 10 of them with just like random dimensions, and the 11th one, which is going to be the note, like it's going to be the same as this. Those here didn't actually press the button at the moment. I'm actually just going to duplicate that. That'll be easy enough. It's supposed to be the same note, so yeah. Alright, there's those 10. Select this, duplicate it. Then I'm going to turn drag movement on and do that. Let's go back to the lobby for a second. So most of the towers have been given names except for this one and this one. This one is Tower of Your Plume is on backwards, and this one is Tower of Look at the Key Signature, Bro, by the funny key of F#. Since I didn't build the Ring 4 lobby until over half of the towers were built and named, I didn't really get to have that many temporary names, but things that would be temporary names are all here. So these are all banned jokes except for that one, and of course that one. So let's look at them all and perhaps explain them. Your plume is on backwards, same thing as the temporary tower. In marching band, when you wear the hat, you put on the plume, and most of the time it doesn't matter which direction it goes, so you can't put it on backwards, but you tell people it is on backwards. So it's really funny. Bro, look at the key signature. I'm gonna play this piece a half step lower for beautiful harmony. Of course, that only works if somebody else is playing it normally. Step off with your left foot. In marching band, you step off with your left foot. I'm gonna end this improv solo with the lick because why not? If you ever don't know what to play in a 12-bar blues improv solo, just play the Among Us drip 12 times. Just before the sussy Among Us drip melody, there is a sus chord and a sussy cymbal roll. Hangers to the right, i.e. of the uniforms, like when you hang them up. And then hangers to the left, and then this one. I had no Winpad for you, someone. So I typed who wrote each note. So I need to select each one that's by the same person, so like all the ones by Roblox first. Then I need to give it a handwriting looking text font that is not Indie Flower. I guess I can give it permanent marker. That was the same font I used to put here, like, cause I guess Roblox is therefore the one who wrote that on here to label that. I do feel concerned by the fact that many of these are probably going to become hashtagged whenever you load in the Obby slot. But I guess that really matters that you can tell that the ones written by Jane Doe have this text font, and that this one has that text font also. I've now added another sign here that says there is one more piece of evidence you should look at before making your final decision of who the culprit is. Press this button and return to floor 2 and collect hair samples from inside the box for a DNA test. So technically you don't actually have to look at these, and there's nothing that really says to look at that, but I will make it so that Roblox says whose handwriting matches the note on the microwave, which I feel like will encourage people to actually look and see which one it is. So here's what's going to happen now. This button is going to activate a button up here, and that button is what you're going to use to collect the hair samples. I'm not actually going to put the hair samples in here because I don't feel like it, and you know, you wouldn't really see that anyway, I guess. But it's going to activate a button, and the button it activates is going to, I guess, activate something, because it's going to be what allows you to go over here, which is going to be like a lab where you look at the DNA. I'll make it so this button actually does something later, but let's go ahead and skip over here to building the lab. On this floating island off to the side of the tower, I built another building similar to Roblox's office. This one is a lab where you compare DNA samples. So I built 2 counters on either side of the room. The one on the left has 4 microscopes. When you click a microscope, you press a Make Objects Invisible button that deactivates 2 0.99 transparency glass parts, so it's like it's activating something. I have to deactivate glass like this because the parts have effects on them, which can't be activated by Modify Effects. Through glass, you can't see effects except for textures, which isn't a problem here, nor can you see any part with a transparency of 0.02 or higher. So I made these 5 buttons behind each microscope be 0.02 transparency. Unless you look really closely, the buttons look the same as if they were transparency 0. 0. So when you click a microscope, these things appear. There are 5 different DNA decals I made, each with the 4 different nitrogen bases of DNA in a different order. Each of the 4 bases is a different color, but they're also labeled. A is for adenine, T is for thymine, C is for cytosine, G is for guanine. A always bonds with T, C always bonds with G. You look at the DNA sample and then go to the opposite corner to see whose DNA it is. In my opinion, the best way to find the matching DNA decal is to look at one side and remember the order of the letters, rather than trying to remember the colors or the whole image or something. For example, on this microscope, you'd see the bases on the left in the order AGCA, so you should look for that on the opposite counter. So next thing I need to do is make the button actually activate something. It's going to be a make objects visible click button. So that means everything that needs to happen as a result of clicking that button needs to be activating something. I think it will activate a check mark or something, letting you know you clicked the right one. And it's also going to activate something up here that allows you to access the final floor. Like a ladder or something. That way you need all 4 of them there in order for that to work. 4 buttons you need to press in order to access a new area. It's gonna work best if it was a make objects invisible button, because it would be opening doors instead of me having to like make sure I space trusses or something correctly, so that you have to have all of them activated. And so when all 4 of them are activated, you'll be able to walk across here, and it shouldn't be possible to like make this jump from here if this one's deactivated. I mean, a 14 stud jump at this slight angle, it maybe is possible at a difficulty above catastrophic, so like it doesn't matter that it maybe is technically possible. So now I pretty much need to duplicate this a few more times and make the buttons work so that this section works properly. Okay, so I got this working. You can pause and read this, specifically the instructions it gives you on how to do this, but I will be playing the tower at the end of the video. Now I need to build the thing where you go back here and then to here, and here's how that's going to work. I'm going to take a sign and put it right here, and the sign is going to say, press this button to collect the hair samples, then enter the lab outside floor 1. So there's going to be a button here, and I'll tell you what it's going to activate in just a moment. Before we connect this button to anything, we need to connect this button to some things. So this is a make objects visible button. It needs to activate these 2 things, and over where that button is over there, there's also going to be an invisible make objects invisible button that you're going to press. Because it's not a click button, it's fine that I have 2 of them there. What that's going to do is deactivate this glass. That way, the make objects visible button is going to cause the sign and button to activate, and the make objects invisible button is going to deactivate this. That way you can read the text. Technically, if you position your view perfectly, you could maybe figure out how to read that, but you're still going to have to press the button first anyway in order for it to activate the button. So when I place an invisible button right there, it's going to be make objects invisible with infinite time. This one is going to be connected to that. So you press both of those buttons, and then this will appear. Now you have this. So I'm not going to actually put anything in here. It's going to deactivate as if you were collecting it. This button is actually going to be a make objects visible button that activates a bridge right there. So when you press this button to collect the hair samples, it's actually going to activate this. That way you can go to the lab. Previously, jumping to here should be impossible. Let me just test a few places from maybe that would be possible. Yeah, you can't make the jump from there. You probably can't from here either. Nope. Anyway, then you do this section, and that would eventually get these activated. I guess I'll just quickly show you how this works. So you would click each of these, or you can do them one at a time. And technically, if you want, you can just like go across here, and whenever your mouse cursor turns to that, you just click it, which for testing it, that's what I'm going to do. But yeah, you can see those 4 green checks are there. So that's how you know you completed the section. I'm probably going to make it so that when you click those yellow click buttons, it's also going to activate some stuff. That way you don't have to like pointlessly redo this whole section. So it'll probably like activate trusses or something. But that takes us to the final floor, which you're going to have to wait to see what that is, because it's now time to play the whole tower start to finish. Here's the Obby ID for Ring 4, if you want to come play any of the towers here, which of course includes Tower of Fastidious Forensic. This playthrough is also going to be where I decide what my final decision on the difficulty is going to be. Since this tower is under construction, the Winpad can be found in a box on the 2nd floor. If you look around here, we have this area over here, which you can't get to because of the red construction tape or because of the invisible wall. Then there's this area, which you need a key to get to, and this area, which that jump is impossible. You need to press this button in order to activate this truss, and then you can climb up here, and then up here, and then here. And here's the box with the Winpad. Click to open. A microwave? Where's the Winpad? Because it's a microwave, not the Winpad. This note says, haha, no Winpad for you, someone. This arrow, which is now here, indicates you go this way. You can climb up here, you can keep holding W. This thing will prevent you from falling off because it's a half stud of a difference. For a 1 stud, you'd be able to fall through this gap. You want to do this 1 stud wrap around here, or if you really want to, you can go to the outside and do a 10 stud wrap. I don't know why you would do that though. John Doe. I last saw the Winpad yesterday morning as I was using a forklift to move some boxes of materials, including the Winpad, to just outside floor 1. Builderman was the one who was tasked with moving those boxes to floor 2. I would suggest speaking to him. From here, you want to jump up these platforms. You can click this click button, which will open that. Then Builderman says, yes, I did move the boxes to the 2nd floor yesterday after I got back from lunch break, but I didn't look inside them, so I can't actually say whether the Winpad was in its box at that time, although its box was unusually heavy. Maybe that's just me though. Press this button and return to the bottom of the tower. Follow the arrows to the new area that has opened. So you'd press it and it's going to open this. So you would jump down here and the arrows indicate you go this way, which you can now. Use this black light to view the fingerprints on the Winpad box. So this sign is new. I made it so that the button, that's a make objects invisible button right here, it deactivates a glass part right there that covers up the text. Because if you saw it like from the start of the tower when you can't go over there, that'd be kind of confusing. But you can do this. You'll collect the flashlight or the black light, but it's a flashlight because that's the closest I could get. You go back up here, and technically you don't actually have to use this to see these, but yeah, just pretend that you do. All the names that you can see on here are you, John Doe, Builderman, Jane Doe, and Roblox. So these 3 you've already seen, these 2 are new. This sign, which has also been activated, or rather the glass thing that prevented you from seeing it, has been deactivated. It reads, the fingerprints of more people are on this box. Head up a few floors to speak to them. So once again, you go this way, but this little shortcut has opened so you don't have to redo this parkour again. And this arrow has activated to hopefully help you notice that. So you can just go back up here, and now you want to go this way. This arrow is also newly activated. The reason you couldn't do this on this floor before is because this was closed, but that is no longer the case. Roblox says, since I am the manager of this construction project, I checked the contents of all the boxes on floor 1 just before leaving for lunch break yesterday. Yes, the Winpad was in its box at that time. And if you go up here, while making sure to not do that, Jane Doe says, yesterday I stayed about 10 minutes extra after everyone was free to go to lunch break looking for the box with the wood in it. That's why I checked the box with the Winpad, but it was already missing at that point. So it turns out you can high jump here to take a shortcut. To fix that, I'm going to take an invisible part like this, which will prevent you from being able to get up there. Now if you try to do that, you'll hit that invisible part. And if you do fall from above there onto there, well, then you're in luck, because you don't have to fall all the way down here, but rather you can just skip to here. Anyway, you're going to want to press this gray button, which will activate that for 20 seconds. And so then you want to do this push box. It's going to look like I'm going to run out of time, especially if I do something like that. It is possible to press this button and then do the entire push box section, but if you want, you can get the push box to right here, and then go press the button, so you got less distance to move the push box in the time limit. So yeah, you're going to want to do that. This button does not have a time limit, so once you press that, you're good. It'll activate this path, and then you can go to this quick outside section, and then you have these next 2 floors, where you have these signs. So I've spoken to everyone whose fingerprints are on the box, so who among us is not telling the truth? You want to go this way, and that'll take you to a longer outside section. Be careful not to walk off on this one stud ledge. Builderman thinks the Winpad wasn't in the box after lunch break. Roblox is sure that it was before lunch break. I think it's safe to say that the Winpad was stolen during lunch break. And you got this wraparound here. John Doe says he moved the box in the morning. That leaves Jane Doe, who says she had been here during lunch break. And then here, just walk through that while that's deactivated. At this point, I feel like Jane Doe is the culprit. However, I should definitely try to find more evidence. You go down here, wrap around, jump here, and up here, and another wraparound. What about handwriting samples? I could see whose handwriting matches the note on the microwave. I'll go speak to Roblox to see if I can get a note written by everyone. You climb up here and go this way. Use this key to open the door to Roblox's office at the bottom of the tower, where you can speak to him. You'll do that, the key will disappear, and these are can collide false. They're button activated. You'll come back to those later. So you can go down here. This is Roblox's office, so you can go here because you have the key. It previously said key required. Roblox, here are a few notes that you can use as handwriting samples, and here's the note that was on the microwave. Whose handwriting matches the note on the microwave? So I read all these notes earlier. They don't really matter what they actually say. What does matter is the text font, though. So you can see if you look at this one, it has this text font, and the ones written by Jane Doe also have that text font. There's one more piece of evidence you should look at before making your final decision of who the culprit is. Press this button and return to floor 2 and collect hair samples from inside the box for a DNA test. I'm actually going to reword that slightly. Instead of saying one more piece of evidence you should look at, it now says one more piece of evidence you should investigate. That sounds very better. So you want to press this button, which is actually 2 buttons. Then you want to go back to floor 2. So you're once again going to climb up this truss, do that jump, go up here, and to right here. There's a new sign that has appeared. Press this button to collect the hair samples, then enter the lab outside floor 1. You can press this button. What that button actually does is it'll activate this. You might notice this bridge looks a little bit different than when I originally built it. I will explain why in just a minute. But now you can access this lab. Click a microscope on the left to view the DNA sample and see whose DNA it is on the right counter. Then click whose DNA it is behind that microscope. Make sure not to click the microscope, the black outline, when trying to click the correct name. If a green check appears, you clicked the correct name. Repeat the process with the remaining microscopes. When you see 4 checks, make your way up to the final floor. Alright, so you'd click this one. So I added this faint outline you can see, like, that's where you actually need to click the microscope. It's the outline I put on the click button that's invisible. So you can see this one, and like I said, what I think is the best way is to look at the order of the letters on either the left or the right. It doesn't really matter, but I'll do the left. AGCA. I already know this one is this one, U, AGCA. So that means you can click U, and it'll activate this green check. In addition, it'll activate one of the platforms up here, and each of those buttons activates something like this that'll just make it so as you reascend here, you don't have to do a bunch of the same parkour again. This one is CAGG, so let's find where that one is. CAGG, that's Roblox. So you come back over here, click it, there's the green check. For this one, AGTC, right there, Jane Doe. And this one, CTGA, which is right here, CTGA, John Doe. Now that there's all 4 of these checks, then you can go back. Oh, I forgot to mention another important thing that each of those buttons activates. It's going to activate one of these platforms. So the reason I redid this was so that I can make it so that there are 4 platforms that activate. Each one of those, in addition to whatever else it activates one of these, and all 4 of those have to be there in order for you to get back to the main tower. That's not really required because you have to press all 4 of them anyway to get up here, but I thought it would be kind of weird if you pressed like 3 and then like some of the shortcut things up on the floors as you redo this were there and some weren't. So yeah, that just ensures that you pressed all of them in the lab before you continue. So then you just do this again. You can go pretty quickly through it because a bunch of these trusses and stuff have activated. So like there's that new truss and that one, and also these arrows kind of help you figure out where you're supposed to go. You can go across this bridge, which has now been activated, go around here, and up to the final floor. It's time for you to make your final decision. Who stole the Winpad? The correct answer is this one. All those other buttons, though, they don't actually do anything. They're just regular parts. If it were a more difficult tower, then I would make it like insta-kill you or something, or at least lose progress. That takes you to this final room. So this is sort of like the courtroom that the original comment that the idea for this tower came from, one of them anyway. It's not really a courtroom, but yeah, it's just all the characters and you can read all this dialogue. Roblox. Jane Doe, why did you steal the Winpad? Jane Doe, I meant no harm, I needed it to make Winpad cookies for everyone. John Doe, what are Winpad cookies? Jane Doe, the cookies that you can eat to win the tower, of course. Builderman, well, why didn't you say so earlier? Jane Doe, I wanted it to be a surprise for everyone. Roblox, in that case, all is forgiven. You, thanks for the Winpad cookies. So then you can just jump over here, click to eat, you click that, yay. That takes you to the temporary win room. There will be a real one built eventually. And yeah, if you look at these, you can see it's like the Winpad is like the sprinkles. Then there's an invisible click button over here. When you click that, it'll activate this teleport pad, which will teleport you here. My final decision for what the difficulty of this tower is going to be to increase it from mid-easy to high-easy. That's going to conclude today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to leave a like and consider subscribing. And also, please comment any tower ideas you have for Ring 4. There are 2 left, and I haven't decided what they're going to be, so please leave a comment if you have any ideas. I'll see you in the next video, and have a great day.